Right, so we've got texture, the texture stage. Texture, very much for me, was one of the early type ones. What have I got here? What it used to feel like. It was my first dimensions where I felt flat. So it was a building and it felt flat. And for some reason, my hand was probing on it, and this guy was flat all across. And now textures, it's everything to do with the surface of the target, what it feels like, what maybe just under the surface feels like. What have I got here? Texture. So you can feel the textures. See that? Texture. You can feel the textures on the target. You can even feel the grain of the target. So I've touched wood, and if you concentrate on that wood feeling for a little bit, you can feel the flow of the grain. I can feel the flow of the grain. What else have I got? So textures. It triggers other senses as well. Textures. So texture has triggered taste. Oh yeah. So in the past, I was doing texture, and it was beach. Actually, it was a bikini atoll or something like that. And when I went to trigger the texture, I felt something in my mouth. It had triggered taste. So that was the first time I had taste, where I could feel the granular textures of sand or dirt in my mouth. So yeah, it can trigger other things. Actually, all the senses can trigger other things. That's how basically you start growing into those other branches. And so taste became part of the process sometimes. So texture, articulating texture. What would I use to articulate texture? Surface of objects, rough, smooth, lumpy. It's like touch, but it's more detailed. It's more detailed on the surface of that target. So what have I got? It describes the skin of the target. So I've had impressions where you are the structure, and you could feel the coldness or the wind going on the outside of that target. It's like what surrounds this target? What's touching this target? So that's a statement. What's touching the target? Around the target. That's a statement. So if I go like this and I produce this little thing, so you can feel the surface, you can feel just under the surface, you can feel the lumps on the surface as well, you can feel internal to the surface, which is the wood grain. You can feel the flow of the wood grain in that situation. So that's texture. What have I got? Have I got any more textures? No. So texture is like touch, but it's more detail. You're sort of picking not the internals anymore, but the surface of that touch. You're going to the surface and you're figuring out what's it like, as if you're feeling it. These are the impressions that you get back. You might get it cold, you might get it hot because things are blowing on it. Who knows? I've gotten warmth from it simply because the sun was on the target at the time. You might feel some temperature ones. It will trigger temperature senses as well. They all pretty much trigger each other. It's just building that picture with all those senses taken into account or factored in. And that usually gives you more of an accurate description because you're collecting them all together. I suppose it's like a summary. So texture, very much like touch, more detailed and more surface orientated. And that's texture.